What is going on, my friends? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to completely tear down Jared's Evo 10 motor or engine, whatever you want to call it. We got her out of the car last night, got her up on the engine stand. Super excited and anxious to tear into this thing, see what exactly is going on. This thing's pretty dirty overall. First thing I want to do is pull it outside, plug off a few things, throttle body, turbo, give her a good degrease, a pressure wash, let it dry a little bit, maybe blow it off with some compressed air, and then we can start tearing into it. So let's go ahead, get this thing outside, get it cleaned up. All right, this thing is ready to come apart. We got her all cleaned up. Much easier to work on now. I would never degrease and pressure wash this motor if it was going back in without being rebuilt, because we definitely got some water inside the engine. That's okay though, because we're tearing this whole entire thing apart. To start off, we need to pull off the AC compressor, alternator, power steering. The intake manifold's got to come off. Turbo and the manifold and all that stuff on the back side of the engine has to come off. So pretty much pull off everything and make it into a complete long block, and then it'll be much easier to work on. So let's go ahead and start off with the front, get that power steering, alternator, AC compressor, and the intake manifold off of this thing, and then we can move on to the turbo. Everything is now pulled off the front side. Let's move on to the back. We got to pull the water pump, that crossover pipe, and the turbo kit. All right, guys, we are down to a complete long block. All the accessories are pulled off, chilling on the table. I'm gonna go to clean up a little bit, make my life a little bit easier, and then we can go ahead, pull a top end off this thing and figure out what exactly is all wrong with it. All right, first up is the valve cover. I doubt we're gonna see anything significant under the valve cover. Immediately following the valve cover will be the front timing cover. Gonna have to pull off the crank pulley with that big old 22 mil bolt. Crank pulley comes off, timing cover will come off. As soon as the timing cover and the valve cover are off, we can mess with all of the timing components and then move on to pulling the cylinder head, which is where I'm assuming we are gonna see some issues. Everything underneath the valve cover looks perfect. I don't see any signs of any sort of oil starvation. All the cam lobes look good. Everything looks good. Let's go ahead and pull off that timing cover. Everything underneath the timing cover is good to go. It's still in time. It did not jump timing at all. Let's go ahead and remove all the timing components and get this freaking head off of this block. Unfortunately, I can't pull the head off until I run to the auto parts store. When I built this motor, probably like 20 to 30,000 miles ago, we did ARP head studs. You need a ground down 13 millimeter 12 point socket to fit down in this hole right there to get the ARP nuts off of the studs. And I know I have that ground down socket somewhere, but I cannot find it anywhere in the toolbox. And I don't feel like grinding down a expensive SK tool socket, so I'm just gonna rip to O'Reilly's real quick, grab a cheap little socket, grind it down, and we should be back on track to get this head off. Well, they didn't have the socket I need, which is a 3/8 drive, 12 point, 13 millimeter or half inch. I'll just have to grab an SK and grind her down. So I ground it down just enough to fit. I got one of them loose. Went to go crack the other one loose, and we ended up cracking the socket instead of cracking the nut loose. Shit. Well, I tried to weld the socket up, didn't work. I went and found another socket, and we are back in action. So let's go ahead, get everything loosened up, pull this freaking head off, and see what in the heck is going on. Boy, oh boy. So far, I see at least one bent rod. So cylinder 1, you can see, well, let's go here. Cylinder 4, piston is at the very top of the stroke. It's lined up with a deck surface on the block. Come over to cylinder 1, you can see it's down in the bore a little bit. That means that rod is bent. If we come over to 2 and 3, quite a bit of rust already building up, which is pretty crazy how fast that stuff builds up. Look how clean the top of this piston is too. It's very interesting. So at least one bent rod so far. Definitely gonna need to be bored out probably to the next size. I think this is 86.5 mil block or bore. I could be mistaken. Gonna have to go ahead and measure it, but let's turn it over and see if 2 or 3 have bent rods. So we got her at the top. 2 and 3 appear to be fine. No bent rods there. It's crazy. Like I said earlier, it's crazy how fast this rust builds up on the cylinder walls. It's crazy. I'm gonna go ahead, pop out the ERP studs, flip this guy over, pull the pan, pull the crank, pistons, rods, pull everything out, just get this thing completely torn apart, figure out what all we need to buy. So far, it's probably gonna be pistons, rods. Hopefully the crank and block are fine. Those are the most expensive parts. And I think everything in the top end looks okay. I haven't even honestly checked out the bottom of the head yet, but just guessing. Yeah, I'm just gonna drop the head off at the head shop. They're gonna go through everything for us, do all new stem seals, resurface it, check all the guides, check the valves, get it to the point where it's ready to just bolt right back on. So I just pulled the pan. It does look like we do have some bearing material, which kind of sucks because that now means we have to swap oil pumps, oil coolers. There's definitely some flakiness going on in here. Let's keep her moving. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. All right, we found some pretty sick damage. Here is the connecting rod out of cylinder 1. That thing is completely freaking toasted. It's so cool looking. I love it. These are Manly H-beams, I believe, or maybe Eagles. I forget what I ran in this car. The wrist pin is completely locked up, took out the piston. The problem with when you bend a rod, you see that down there? When I bent a rod on my 10, I had that same issue. And I ended up running it. I don't know if Jared's gonna want to run this or not. Because it's so far down at the bottom of the stroke, I never had any sort of issues with that on my 10. And I don't even know where that motor's at now. I know it's not the same motor that's in the car, but I know for the time I had it, we didn't run into any sort of issues. Crank looks to be okay. I haven't pulled her out yet, and it's gonna need to be inspected at a shop, micro polished, measured out, make sure it's all good to go. But from what I see so far, I think she should be hopefully okay. How's that Subi treating you?
Bro, this thing has such a tight turning radius. What the hell?
The thing's badass.
This is way better than the fucking Evo. I just turned on a dime.
Hell yeah. What are you doing?
I gotta run to the bank real quick.
Take out all some bands?
Yeah, dropping off some bands.
You wanna see some sick shit out of your motor?
Oh fuck, hold on, let me pull over.
You wanna see the bad or the good first?
I don't know, bro, just show me all of it.
Well, I'll show you your rod first.
Oh.
Yeah, that thing's completely fucked.
Yeah, damn, crazy. Holy crap.
I know. And then you have, yeah, there was some sort of bearing failure. I'm not sure if it was in the mains or the rods yet. I haven't pulled the crank out, but yeah, there's metal all over your pan and shit. So we're gonna have to do an oil pump and oil cooler and all that too. So after doing some further diagnosing and assessing on this block, it's pretty roached, I'm not gonna lie. Not only do we have those giant freaking divots down there, pretty much every bore has some pretty dang deep scratches. This is already an 86.5 mil. I don't like to go above that at all, especially if we plan on turning this thing up in the future, because the factory sleeves start getting pretty thin. So now we have the option of pulling my spare engine out of the corner, tearing that thing apart, or we can just send it and get this thing sleeved with like some Darton sleeves. So I'm not sure what Jared's gonna want to do. He's coming over right now. I'm gonna try to push him toward the sleeved option, because that's one thing I regret doing on my car, is not sleeving it. I did a full build on my car, on my 10, and I never sleeved it. For now, let's go ahead and pop out the crank. Does she got two-step?
I don't know.
Nice hood.
Does it have a limiter?
I don't know.
I don't think she has a stock.
I like your exhaust leak. How's it been? Good?
Good.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't like to hold the charge. I had to jump it this morning.
Sick. We should probably check the alternator before you just go buy a battery. How do you check it?
Yeah.
You just start it up and see how much volts it's putting out. You like your shit?
Damn.
Sad boy. Yeah, that block's pretty hammered, bro.
Yeah.
Ain't gonna lie. Ain't gonna cap.
Is sleeving the only option besides just using a new block?
You know, Jared, see how like scored up it is? Like, all around. So basically my rule of thumb is you can feel shit with your fingernail.
Yeah.
Like
dude, if you
there,
can dig in, then it's too deep probably.
You can literally hear it.
Yeah, that's deep as fuck.
And that's cylinder, that's not even cylinder 1, this is 1.
Yeah,
so that's 4. Every single cylinder, I mean, I guess water doesn't lube very well, so it kind of explains some shit.
Yeah.
That's why your bearings are hammered. That's why your pistons are hammered.
Oh man.
That's the most bent rod I've
That's
ever seen.
Gnarly. I'm definitely keeping that as a nice little souvenir.
I would hang that son of a bitch
Hell
up on
yeah,
the wall.
that's going in a shadow box and everything.
How's the build running?
She died on me.
Oh, Jared.
I wonder if it's just that. It might just be that cable. That positive cable, I think is.
I see the duct tape's holding up well.
Oh yeah, no, that's the man.
Nice. Maybe you should tighten it up.
Yeah, well, it's all the way tight, and it's not on there tight, so.
It's all the way tight, but it's not tight.
Yeah. But I ain't clamp it down all the way.
Beautiful. Back in action. What the hell is this, Jared? Watch him burn the clutch. We just tested the alternator because that battery keeps dying and it's not putting out any sort of power. So Jared's gonna go pick up a new alternator. And as far as his 4B11 goes for the 10, we're leaning toward the sleeved option. It'd be sick, it'd be fun, and I think it's the most sensible option at the moment. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up right here. Peace out, my friends. I'll see you guys tomorrow.